Canine Detection Collaborative, a detection dog training trio with Stacy Barnett.
Hi.
Robin Grubel.
Hey there.
And Crystal Wing.
What's up?
With humor and a big dose of theory, our trio talks practical training advice and features interviews with top trainers and scientists.
It's Canine Detection Collaborative.
Hey guys, it's Stacy Barnett from Canine Detection Collaborative, and tonight we are going to talk about your stupid questions. Now, I have to couch that with saying that no question is actually really stupid. You just have questions and you have other questions. But it was apparently National Ask a Stupid Question Day, and so we decided, hey, that's a really great way to get some of our questions out there and get those answered. So I am here with my glorious co-host, Robin Grubel.
Hello.
And Crystal Wing.
Howdy.
We're very glorious.
You're really glorious.
It's bad when I start cackling at your description.
Yes.
We just need a little levity there. So we've got all these really great questions that you guys came up with, and
they're so stupid.
It's
just really fun to say that, but they're not stupid. They're really great questions.
I know.
Well, and some of them are not stupid.
They're not at all.
They're really good questions, and some of them are a little bit more complicated than. They're not really stupid questions. They're actually very complicated questions and probably deserve their own episode. So if we don't get to your question, it's because we've put them in the queue for stuff that we're going to answer later. So just
but no promises.
Right. But we do have a running list of episode ideas. And so they go into the list of the episode ideas is what they do.
Yeah, no, Crystal's over there. She's like, I can't commit to anything. I'm so sorry.
I'm so overwhelmed right now.
It's just like commitment. Like
you're like, no, I'm done. I'm out.
Can't promise anything.
That's a hard line right there. I just can't draw that line of commitment right now.
All right. So in no particular order, other than the ones that I pulled off of Facebook in random order and Messenger and stuff like that. The first question is, what is the most random breed you've seen doing search and rescue, nose work, or bite sports?
That's a great question. That's so cool. I love that one.
My answer is I saw Papillon doing cadaver dog work.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, she was actually really good. She was a little limited
awesome.
by how tall the grass could be. But that's one of the things that we talk to people about is make sure you choose an appropriate breed for the type of environment that you're going to be working in. So some of the toy breeds, which aren't typically meant for work, right? Unless they're ratters or something, are maybe not the best just because you can lose them in tall grass. And I could very easily picture a Papillon trying to run through one of our cockabur patches and just get to the point where it couldn't move. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. From a nosework perspective, there is no off-breed. That's kind of the cool part about the sport itself is that every single dog can do it and they can all do it really well. I mean, I've seen some like really incredible miniature dachshunds as an example. So like little tiny, talk about your little short dogs, right? But I've seen everything from, Shih Tzus all the way to big, huge English Mastiffs and everything kind of in between. I wouldn't say that there would be more of a random breed. What I can tell you is that I get really excited when I work with a new breed that I've never worked with before. And so I get excited about that. And then I get excited about learning how to pronounce it. Because there's a lot of breeds like that. Like I feel like I'm a part of a club, right? Because I know how to pronounce Quaker Hungy. They're really cool dogs, by the way. The Quakers are really cool dogs.
A friend of ours does cadaver dog work with an Italiano Bracciano.
Oh my gosh. I don't think I've worked with one of those yet.
And it's a hunting pointer breed.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But it's just, yeah.
And what's Sarah's dog?
I know. I'm always like, oh, cool. New dog, new breed. I did work with hybrid ones. That was interesting. Wolf hybrid.
Yeah. So Sarah's got a Bavarian Mountain Hound.
That's what it is.
Sarah and Marsha both have Bavarian
Mountain
hounds that they're using for search and rescue work. And they're much smaller than a bloodhound. So they're dry mouthed hound. So they don't slobber everywhere. If I was going to have a hound, they are very cute.
Oh my gosh,
cute
so cute.
Black head with dark mahogany body, and very cute. So, okay.
For bitey sports, some of the random breeds, most of my friends seem to have them. So my dear friend Susan, she has Wixer, who's a little border staffy, and he's a little guy, but he won Decoy's Choice. I mean, he won all the things. Everybody was just so enamored with him. And then I'd say I saw a standard poodle that did a really awesome job. And there's a lot of border collies now, but I mean, one of my favorites is definitely my friend Megan's. Her little fox border collie is just amazing. So, I mean, I would say they're definitely considered kind of off breeds, but they're all my friends. So,
well, in search and rescue, you also tend to end up with a lot of pound puppies, rescue dogs.
Yeah.
And so you really don't know what the mix is. And they show up. And so that's where it's really important, where you're like, oh, well, I'll just look at behavior and then we'll look how the dog plays. Because that might give you a clue besides embark, right?
Yep.
So, okay. For people who train nosework, are there any skills or things we should practice or be aware of before trialing doing nosework seminars that differ from other sports? So Stacy, and you know what? Let's do a nosework one, and even Crystal, let's talk about bite sports.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little bit.
I would say that's a long answer.
I know. Sorry.
There's a long answer. Really what it comes down to is unpredictability, right? So with a lot of other sports, you go in and you may have some context setting cues there. So for instance, you do agility, right? And I'm mentioning that because now I'm starting agility. Yay, right? And you go in and there's equipment, and there's a start line and the jump is in front of them and they do the equipment, right? You go to an obedience ring. We go do obedience. The ring looks the same. It's got the same stuff in it. It's got the same environment, right? With nosework, everything is different. So what I would say is make sure that you emphasize routine getting to the start line, because if you can do that, then you can inform your dog through pre-cues, right? So you're giving your dog all these pre-cues to let them know that they're going to be searching. And then honestly, they don't even need odor to search. So it's just that they have all these pre-cues and put them on the start line. It doesn't even have to be a physical start line. We just set them up. You ask them to search, they're going to go off and do it. That actually is, I would think, one of the biggest things to develop is that routine and those pre-cues to let them know what they're doing.
In working dog world, we call it a starting ritual.
Yep.
Because you never know where you're going to end up searching. I mean, I'm with Dash doing a bomb dog sweep, and we're standing in the back stage in front of the Quiet Riot drum. And welcome to, I just aged myself because half the people are like, what's Quiet Riot? But anyway.
So cool.
Yeah. And I'm like, Phoenix. And he's like, okay, we now sniff every crack because that's what we do when mom tells me to go to search. So cadaver dogs are all of it. The disaster dogs, narcotics dogs, the whole thing have a starting ritual. So that when you say hunt them up, they're like, okay, this is the game that we're playing. So my short answer. Now, Crystal, your turn.
My answer is really short now because I'm sitting here thinking what you said, it's that are different from other sports. Actually, no, because everything you just said is all the same for all of us. We have starting rituals. We have extreme distractions, like Mondio, especially the amount of distractions and you don't know what you're going to run into. I don't know. I think with search and rescue, and I don't know with nosework, but they're completely naked. And so there's similarities there. So
the dog or the handler.
Yeah. the dog. Disaster
dog
work.
Naked.
Yeah,
that was my stupid question for the night.
So disaster work. The dogs are completely naked.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I know they said sports, but I'm just thinking, and honestly, it's just extremes. So I think it's really all the same. And that's where the collaboration works so well because it's so similar. But it's just the extremes of one thing over another. The distractions of what you just said at a concert versus the distractions of, like at a carnival theme or which could be similar too. So
It was, trust me.
We had sky as a theme, and there's a hang glider on the field, and it just depends on what your dog has to generalize. So actually, no, my answer just got real short.
So there you go. Woohoo.
That's so cool.
So, okay, next question. What would you do if a dog is cataloging or checking a search area and containers for target odor before returning directly to source and doing a trained final response? So the dog is going in, and I've seen this.
Yeah.
I've seen that the dogs will basically, if it's get up on the rubble pile or they walk out into their search area, and you can almost see them go, and you guys can't see me, right? There's a hide.
Mm-hmm.
There's a hide.
Mm-hmm.
There's a hide. And now I'm just going to run around for a while.
Right.
And go sniff other stuff and do other things. And then something happens. Mom sighs funny. Or dad calls me back and gives me a drink of water and tells me to go back and search. And now I go find everything and do my trained final response. And my response to that is, welcome to doing too many hides in a row.
Lumpy McLumperson.
Yep. Be one and done.
Yep.
That in combination of you've trained a chain. So the
Mm-hmm.
dog now thinks that this is the appropriate chain of behavior because you've allowed them to do this. And your reinforcement is probably not high enough for that particular animal to play the stupid game that you want it to play.
Uh-huh. And so I know I'm looking at this question. It looks like it started off as it started out like a barn hunt kind of thing.
Yep.
And if you think about that sport, they're never actually rewarded other than they get to play with a little tube and then you run out maybe, and hopefully, the handler brought their cookies and put it on the chair. So it's the same idea. You have to have that reinforcement. And then especially if you start to move up the levels, right? So I know I'm talking about barn hunt, but that's something I play around with. But it's all the same thing. It's all the same ideas.
Well, and I did barn hunt with Jenks.
Yeah.
Jenks has got his novice.
Yeah.
I think it's novice.
Yeah.
I don't know. I found all the ribbons in a drawer, right? I was like, oh, maybe I should hang them up.
Oh my God. I have a rat champion, by the way. I have a rat champion.
There you
I just want
go.
to put that out there into the world.
But you're right. It
Yeah.
has to do with, but this is the difference.
Yeah.
Think about the whole fact. A lot of people, when they train like they're going to trial.
Right.
And so maybe in training, and I know it's really hard to get rats unless you live on my farm. And we have rats that live out by the cows.
It's also, she's also saying it also bleeds into her scent detection. So
it does because
does.
some of it has to do with the fact that if you are not doing the whole one and done and throwing a party, sometimes the dog might be like, okay, maybe running around and sniffing is actually much more enjoyable than finding the rats, because when you find the rats, then the running and sniffing around is done.
Yeah.
Well, let me throw it out there too. What I did to Yukon, we talked about this before. I started to do just one problem, but it would be a sourcing problem. And I was doing complex odor problems. And so it was causing him, because he wanted to be so red that, I'm like, oh, look, the odor can do this. And I know it's going to lift over here and it's going to pool over there. And he's going to have to work through that and figure out that it's not there, but kind of come over here instead. And then it became, okay, well, I smell it here, but I need to go ahead and go over here too to make sure. So I know exactly where it's strongest. And that's also the same cataloging. So, I mean, I've called myself out on that before.
Well, no, I guess I don't even know if I would call that cataloging though. I call that they're not sure and they're confirming, so they're still problem solving. So in my mind, and I might be completely different.
They're stuck in the locate section. of the search chain.
Exactly. Like they're still working. They're still actively working. And they just haven't come up with a final answer yet, which is different in my mind with cataloging, where they're acknowledging the fact that it's there and then they've decided to ignore it and go off and do something else and then eventually come back to it. So the way I
But if there's a couple of them, so like one of the library problems he did, there was one source where he got right up near it and then just kept going and then went and found all the other places there was odor. And then he went back and told me all those places he had already found. So would you consider that cataloging?
It depends.
Well, and we all know that we love Yukon, but he's a little neurodivergent.
But still, I mean, it's. I saw that I created that by doing too many kind of complicated problems. They were great fun for me.
You learned a lot about scent theory.
I learned a lot.
Yes.
He shows me where all the odor is.
Yeah, and what can happen is that the dog can like actually hunt for something easier. So if you do a lot of hard stuff, and what they can do is they're going, oh, that's a rough one. Let me come back to that one. Oh, ooh, that was really hard too. I'm going to get that one on the way back, right? And then they're actually looking for something easier.
For the easier hide.
Which is actually a form of cataloging. Yeah.
And which goes back to the whole, how many multiple hides are you doing versus the ones and dones?
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you do the ones and done, they have to stick with that one.
Correct. Yeah. And so if you make the one and done much harder, but you pay more for the one and done, because you can always set out more hides. I think people seem to think that I set out 5 hides. I have to do all 5 hides. Mm-hmm. No, you actually just have to do one and put the dog up. And if everything goes swimmingly, you just go pick up the rest of the hides.
And that's where you need training buddies to hold you accountable so that you can say, I'm going to go do this and I'm only going to find one. Don't let me do more.
Right. And so it's nice because we started talking about cataloging, which was another question. Does insisting a dog find the strongest source of odor cause cataloging? And what else can cause a dog to catalog?
Wow, we were really good because now we're really talking about that too.
Correct. And so I think yes, because find the strongest source. We tend to think we know that a lot, and when somebody invents scent goggles, please let me know because I'll order some. So we have to always remember where we're swinging that pendulum. Are we swinging it more towards get as close to odor? So make sure you set your hides up so that the dog can solve that problem versus inaccessible diffuse. And that's a different type of problem. You have to have decided before you started where you're going to accept the behavior that you're going to mark. And then what else does cause a dog to catalog? You're not paying enough. And you set up too hard of a problem that's outside their skill set.
Uh-huh. You've got to pay a lot and you have to make a big deal out of the payment.
Yes.
It's like, it's not just like, here's your cookie, go find another one. Like, oh yeah, I give you a piece of hot dog or meatball or whatever, but it was so brief and the dog's not going to remember that you gave it to him. So
I was just thinking of something else, the dogs that kind of stress up, or I guess stress down, I guess in this one, I can also see if the problem is too difficult, that might be a reason because they found it and then it's okay, I'm going to go over here and I just kind of walk this off, shake it off. Because I've seen that a few times too. Mm-hmm. And people think that their dog is just being, belligerent or stubborn or whatever. And you can actually see the dog walk over and just kind of go, I found it, but that was too much.
Hard.
It was too pressure for me.
I kind of think of it like working a really hard calculus problem. Like, let's pretend like you're back in high school or college or whatever. And you've got this really hard problem as your homework. And you work through part of it and you're like, I just got to clear my head for a minute. And you have to get up, you have to walk away. You got to kind of shake it off, clear your head, come back and finish it. And I think dogs do that. I think finally they go, whoa, this is like smoke's coming out my ears, man. And then they have to kind of walk off and then come back, and which is information to the handler to say, hey, maybe you set this one a little bit hard. Maybe not. Make it quite so hard next time if you can.
It was too close to a diversion or something. I was just, you went to math and I was like, that just makes me want to drink. Because you're talking about doing calculus problems.
Hey, let's send some love out to our math friends.
Yes.
We need you in the world. Thank you.
Yes,
Right.
because then I'm glad it's not me.
But
we appreciate you.
oh, yeah.
So somebody actually had a really, really nice question. They live in Wisconsin
Mhm.
and they're doing exteriors. And this made me think of A Christmas Story. Does she need to worry about her dog getting his nose or tongue frozen to objects?
I have no experience with that. I'll just tell you that right now.
Yes.
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 Yeah, the answer is yes.
Okay.
So I would just be cautious about where you hide them. So that, because one of the things that you really, don't do that. So just be conscious of where you hide your stuff.
I mean, it's not something that happens frequently because they're typically self-aware.
They probably figured that one out.
Yeah.
They don't go around and stick their tongues on flagpoles.
I mean, just
Hello,
wash
we
your
have
hands.
Labradors. What are you talking about? I'm sorry. They put
This
their
is true.
tongues on everything.
Yes. Other considerations besides odor moving differently. One of the big things doing odor work in the cold is how much are you having them sniff for all of that cold air that's coming in and out. Typically in my world, there's a certain threshold that it's not fit for man or beast. And I'm not really going out and training in sub-zero temperatures anyway, because burr. So, just be cognizant about it. And, you might just make a decision that, if it's below freezing, or it's Wisconsin, so it's going to be cold. So if it's below 20 degrees, maybe figure out on doing something in your basement instead.
I love that you were able to answer that because I would not have been.
That was Crystal.
I think
Crystal said, yes, don't let your dog stick their nose on a flagpole.
Well, not a flagpole, but
Yeah, and I'm sitting here going, I could picture a Labrador doing that. I could totally see that.
And I could too.
Yeah.
It was recently, a friend told me a story about her dog's tongue getting stuck to something. And luckily the dog was, it just stayed there and she was able to go over and, do the same thing as the Christmas Story and release the dog's tongue. And I was like, my dogs would not have had that response. They wouldn't have had a tongue. They just ripped it straight off.
Uh-huh.
Little Band-Aid.
And so that story stuck in my head. So that's the only reason I knew it. But again, that's just anecdotal.
Wow.
Right.
It's what a friend told
Interesting.
me.
Totally not a stupid question.
No, that is not a stupid question. So,
I mean, wash your hands and don't dry them all the way and stick your hand in to grab a handful of ice out of an ice cube tray. And your hand's going to be just covered in ice cubes. And think about even with your dog's fur. I mean, they just have the big old fur ball, like ice balls all over their fur.
and
It's same thing.
and the little ice balls that get stuck if you have dogs with Sasquatch feet.
Yeah.
Like I have dogs with Sasquatch feet. So if I'm walking them, you have to go in and you trim out all of those really fine little hairs. And just as a little helpful note, if you put Vaseline on those little hairs, then it doesn't stick.
That helps out
Snowballs,
so
yeah.
much.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Vaseline on the pads helps a lot for walking dogs in snow to not get snowballs in their toes.
Yeah.
Okay. So Stacy, this is you because I don't know.
I see the question. In nosework, using essential oil versus a hydrosol, is there any difference in how the scent cone moves?
Is there a difference between a hydrosol and a hydrolate?
Okay, so I know you said hydrolat here. That is actually I don't know if it's a Swedish or the Danish way of saying. I think it's a Swedish way. It's a Swedish way of saying hydrosol. So
Okay.
But a hydrolat is actually just another language for hydrosol.
Okay.
Look at me, I'll sound all smart and stuff. So over in parts of Scandinavia, they use hydrosols versus essential oil. Hydrosol is kind of like if you have like a rose water, that's a hydrosol.
Okay.
Right. So it is very, very little essential oil. And you have a lot of other types of like alcohols and stuff in there, and it's water and all that kind of good stuff. And it evaporates really, really, really fast. So what they have found in competition in Sweden, for instance, I know they use hydrosol especially, is that they actually have to refresh the hides, which kind of blows the minds of anyone who does essential oils, where if we even touch essential oil to something, it will be there until the next millennium. So you have, it's a very different substance. Now, when I went over there for the first time, it was actually really cool. They sent me a couple bottles of hydrosol to kind of play around with over here before I went over. And I had in my head, so I kind of did some stuff with my dogs, and they're like, oh my gosh, these scent cones are so small, right? Because all the amount of essential oil was so small, and that's what my dogs keyed in on because they were used to essential oil. So I had in my mind, I would go to Sweden and their dogs would be like having to really, really work the area to try to get odor. But what blew my mind is that when they were over there, their dogs behaved in reaction to odor the same way my dogs do, which tells me that it's possible that either they are not, I don't think they're actually just looking for just the essential oil. Actually, I think they're looking for the entire
package.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of that, because it does evaporate so quickly, they actually get very large scent cones. They may not just, they may not be looking for the eucalyptus part of that. They may be looking for everything else in that, for instance, the eucalyptus hydrosol. So as far as the scent cone, it honestly, they move pretty much the same because the dogs may be working off of different pieces of that. And honestly, I don't have scientific data on that. I just want to tell you that this is more my observation from having seen dogs work hydrosols versus essential oil. So I would say they're both very volatile, and the dogs too catch them from quite a good distance away.
Okay. So the next question is, so certain forms of sport detection require a pattern.
Yep.
A search strategy, and other forms of nose work do not. And you can actually get docked points if you don't have a search pattern that makes sense. So, this person was asking, they say that we debate this as exhibitors as to why you have to do this. I don't specifically know the rules because, welcome to my world. And I tell people often, especially as an evaluator, the only wrong way to search something is to not search it. There are more effective ways to search it versus ineffective ways to search it. So in my extrapolation of that whole thing for those sports that actually get judged points on what is your search pattern, that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to encourage you to have a highly effective search pattern.
Yeah. And I think honestly, because I've reading the question and I'm like, I've competed in that organization. I've competed in an organization that don't require it. And what I found was primarily they don't want chaos, right? Because chaos generally is not as effective anyway. So they are basically looking for something that has a little bit of a logical flow. And from what I've seen, just based off of, now I haven't done it in a while, but based off of the judging that I was exposed to, and based off of the students that have done that it is more based off of logical flow versus very, very strict patterning. And what I would say is, honestly, when I'm searching in areas and organizations where I'm not being judged on pattern, I'm still basically using a pattern because especially if I don't know how many hides there are, I need to have a logical flow. And if I don't have a logical flow, I'm not going to know what I covered. And especially at some of the levels I'm competing at right now, I don't have time to go back and forth and bounce around. So I think it's just logical flow.
Agreed. Somebody else asked, how many days away do you do detection work versus other training, and what's a good balance? And my answer, this probably sounds really flippant, but it depends on the dog and what stage we're in training.
Yeah.
And the other training, I have a really, really hard time in my brain until the dog constituting anything as other training when I am building a dog. So until my dogs are certified, that's one tick. And until they're fluent, that's the other checkbox. Everything I do, even if it's directionals or agility work or everything else, all flows into my detection work because they need to know how to use their body. I was guest lecturing at Iowa State yesterday, and we had like 5 minutes before class started and they were getting everything. So what am I doing? I'm over in the side in the front of the room, teaching the puppy to jump up on a chair and then jump up on a table. Because because I was like, I have 30 seconds. We're going to train. For me, that gets now classified into detection work because I've just taught my dog that it lives in a 3-dimensional world and to jump on a table, which will probably bite me later. But it's, that's for me, the confidence
Yukon on the roof.
Yeah, I was picturing Dash on the counter.
Yeah.
We don't want to talk about where Powder went last week.
It's funny how each of us are picturing each other's dogs.
Yes. Yeah. Or the fact that, you're at a certification and you're trying to present high and your bomb dog jumps up on a desk. The evaluator looks at you and said, "We really don't like our bomb dogs to jump on things." Probably not. Did I mention he was supposed to do FEMA disaster work first? So yes, rolling all of that in together. One, it also helps alleviate. I was doing a lot of thinking as I was driving today about how we have the tendency to always push that, oh my gosh, I have to do odor 5 days a week. And then because we're not really, really careful and deliberate because we've got, oh my gosh, I have to do odor 5 days a week, that we just throw out odor. And by looking at it and saying other training, but no, it's all because, one of the best things you can do is just get your dog and go play with your dog.
Oh my God, yes. I'm just sitting here going, amen, amen. Like that's what's going in my head right now. Because it's honestly, even like if you're doing sports, searching is a big piece of that, but so is making sure that, you know how to really truly reinforce that dog, making sure that you understand how to use markers, making sure that the dog can, basically, not lose its brain through arousal, making sure the dog creates okay, making sure that, it's like all these things that are making sure the dog's comfortable on different surfaces. It's no training is wasted training. So I guess it just comes down to, I would train what the dog needs. And if the dog needs work on odor, you do that. If the dog needs to work on something else, do that.
I was going to go with the play stuff, but I was letting Robin finish her thing. So y'all kind of just took
Sorry,
it. So
and I jumped on and then there was nothing left for you.
No, it's play as obedience.
I know. I got to stay in my lane over here, man.
There's no lanes, dude. We're all here. I love it. I wish people could see that I'm like smiling and nodding and yeah.
Well, and Crystal will attest that because, we do a lot of stuff, as you guys could tell, during the summer. Robin's home for wayward dog trainers, and having people come out basically every weekend. And I remember at one point, Crystal looked at me and said, "Well, what do you want to do with your dog today?" Because we were doing something. I'm like, "I just want to play. I just want to play with my dog and have some fun." And guess what? I ended up doing like 3 or 4 behaviors, and let's do a chin rest and a nose bop and some of the other stuff. It was fun. The dog had a blast, but I removed all of that stress and expectation in myself that it's got to be this long, super targeted, serious, because we're doing odor work or we're doing precision healing type of thing. No, we're just going to play.
And just adding that anytime you have your dog out, you're training your dog. So just keeping that in mind. They're always watching and learning and, so just keep that in mind.
Either you're training your dog or your dog is training you every time that you are interacting and your dog is not basically locked in a crate. Okay. So what are sport detection options for canine teams? Okay, so we're kind of United States centric,
Kind of.
kind of, right? Because we live in the United States. So we're going to try there's all of the noseworks, and there's like all sorts of different noseworks, right? Stacy, I mean, there's NACSW, there's AKC, there's SDDA if you're in Canada.
Yeah.
There's some regional stuff. So there's I'll classify them as the essential oil ish groups that do all sorts of stuff.
Yep.
There's barn hunt. Stacy, you do something with the AKC where they're looking for your handler
scent.
Right.
Yeah, there's handler scent. You actually train them. Sorry, English language just kind of went up. You train them to look for your odor, which you actually can train in your house, which is kind of cool because they're looking for that hot scent. This fun.
So do they have to, is it like nose work where they have to go through and identify that particular hide, or do they have to retrieve it?
No, they actually, they just indicate, and it's discrimination because the judge and the stewards also have their scented article, which is like either a cotton ball or a Q-tip, also in the environment, and your dog has to ignore that and indicate on yours. It's really fun. It's really fun.
So what is that called, and through what organization?
It's AKC. It's through AKC Scent Work, but it's the handler discrimination division.
Oh,
so there's the odor division, which is essential oil, and then there's handler HD. So that's handler discrimination. There's kind of separate tracks.
Oh,
and like the regional championship, there's separate like classes. So
interesting.
You can get titles all the way through. Brava has her master handler discrimination title.
Okay,
and it is a blast. It's a blast. I love it.
So then we have barn hunt.
Mm-hmm. You have shed hunting. You can hunt for shed.
Right.
That's big. That's big stuff in the Midwest.
Yeah, that's big stuff. And actually, the other interesting thing that some of the people I know are getting involved in are blood trails.
Yeah.
They're teaching dogs how to trail game because that's now legal in several states, and they're doing it for competitions and titles.
Yep. There's a organization called NASDA that actually gets into like lost item recovery. I was thinking about you, Crystal, on Facebook with your keys.
Oh, yeah.
Right. They do lost item recovery. They do they actually do like a trailing and locating where they actually combine like kind of like a barn hunt and nosework, or kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a barn hunt, but it's kind of like the rat's hidden in like an urban area. There's all kinds of stuff you can do.
There is a version of the hunt tests. So forgive me, I'm going to murder some organization's thing, but they actually have it like a wounded game portion where the bird has been shot, but it's not dead, and it like runs away, and the dog actually has to trail the bird drag. That's part of it. They've also got some of it is the tunneling stuff that they do at the earth dog.
Oh yeah.
Right. Yep. For the ratters and the terriers to do that.
Yep.
Tracking, whether it's AKC, the protection sports got their stylized version of tracking. Oh my gosh. Then I had one other one that I was like, oh, because even Crystal in the bite sports and utility, as part of your obedience, the dog has to retrieve. They do the handler distribute.
Littlewood. Littlewood.
And Mondio ring, but I wouldn't really say that that's such a small part. So if I were going to talk about sports on my side, I would actually refer more to American Schutzhund instead of Mondio, because Mondio is just such a small little part of with the Littlewood. So with American Schutzhund, they have the pseudo that they use. It's Sigma, cocaine, and heroin, and it's the pseudo narcotics. And then we also have the footprint tracking with IGP, but actual detection, I would definitely say American Schutzhund. And I think there's another organization. Did you mention WSDA, the World Scent Dog Association? I don't remember.
No.
Or Search Dog, Scent Dog. I don't remember. One of those two, but they use, catnip and gun oil.
That's over in the UK, right?
Yeah, it's they were starting it kind of over here. So I don't know.
Okay.
but those are just the ones that I just know of.
The sky's the limit.
Yeah,
It
there's a
is.
lot of options out there. And I know there's different competitions popping up. And then I think I just heard somebody was talking on their podcast about how they're doing a big competition, and it's scent oriented and like all kinds of different stuff happening. So it was interesting. I think Nick Banger or somebody, I don't remember, somebody I was listening to. And they said they've been on this reality TV show for the last year. And so I know there's also kind of bringing those sorts of things into it as well.
Super cool.
What was the one too that I think didn't one of the Iowa police officers in your group just won it or something?
Yeah,
or?
the USPCA put on a trial. And it was on ESPN, but they were using narcotics and explosives, and it was all professional canine teams that were competing against each other. So that's one of the things that they do. And so it's the interesting thing is to see how many different things are coming out for people to do scent work, because I'll tell you guys what, when I started search and rescue 22 years ago,
That's it.
it was search and rescue. It was obedience. It was agility. I think rally had just come out.
Mhm.
And there is a search and rescue sport, which is called IRO, International Rescue Organization, or something of that nature. It's very popular in Europe, and it looks a lot like the Ironman for search dogs. And they have to do some wilderness work. They do some disaster dog work. They do the directionals. They do the obedience and all of those sorts of things. So I know there's huge contingencies over in Europe. Some of our friends over there are doing, they just do detection work in their house with their dog at a high level, training on a Kong piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they call that special search in Sweden. They call it
Yes.
special search, and it's a whole competitive. And they're looking for little tiny Kong pieces.
Right. And so it's very interesting that all of this stuff, if you don't want to do cool stuff with your dog and you don't really want to compete for the pretty ribbons, you can still do some really cool stuff with your dog.
Yep, and there's also there's also a lot of virtual titles. I know through FDSA we have team titles, which are for nosework, and you can use whatever odor you want. That we don't stipulate. I'm one of the judges. That's the reason why I'm mentioning it. And we don't stipulate what odors you use. You can use whatever you want, and you can work through the virtual levels also.
There's
So many options.
Lots of options.
It's crazy. It's so wonderful.
Oh, there's also, if you have, if you want to do hound stuff, they also do raccoon hunting. And, I'm like, you're out in the middle of the dark, usually in the cold, not so interested. But I mean, coon dogs, that's what they're bred for. So, they do that. So it just depends on what type of breed. And
now you're talking hog hunting and everything else in the South. So, I mean, you can really start.
Yeah. I mean, you could go all sorts of places, but I was thinking for sports, I don't know. Do they do hog hunting for sport, like ribbons and stuff? I don't think so.
I don't know if it's,
Coon hunting, they do. They
Okay.
have like
Yeah, they do.
championship stuff.
Gotcha.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's, and that actually gets into a whole bunch more stuff besides just straight detection, right?
Mhm.
And you said barn hunt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
That's like,
We listed so many.
We said that early on.
I can't keep, I try and write all these down. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to this.
I'm not sure.
I'm thinking show notes are going to be a beast on this one.
I don't know.
I'm making my head spin. I was trying to write them all down. I lost it.
You know what would be really lovely is as people are listening to this episode, go out on Facebook and add a link onto this particular episode's Facebook post so that we
and
can
tell us how cool your sport is. So then I don't have to do all this.
Yeah, and do our work for us.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Awesome. Because I'm pretty sure we missed some.
I'm sure.
And then here's where I go with this. Could you hear that? That was my
Click
pen
treats.
getting put away.
It was a click treat. I'm like,
Double doozy. It's a click treat and it's also a pen being closed because my hand was cramping from writing all that down. Whew.
That's great.
Okay. So another question is, what would we consider to be foundation for a live, fine, wilderness, or use our canine? Play.
Yeah, because those are two very different things, wilderness and use are.
They absolutely are.
Yeah.
But play.
Look at me know the difference here. Or just know
Very
that there's a
good for
difference.
you. Yeah.
Thank you.
But play is the foundation for the whole thing because you're looking at the reinforcement event.
And the play is what starts to create the engagement. So it's always
Yes.
that kind of, that's your basis, is get your play. And when you're getting your play, it means you're learning your dog. And so the relationship is what gets created, and the relationship is what creates the engagement. And then that's when you have everything you need to get started. Not everything, but the essence.
Beautiful.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful.
Yes.
Yep.
Stacy.
It is.
It is beautiful. It is. It's incredible.
And you guys might feel like we're getting on a little bit of a broken record, but one of the things as instructors that we see is people are trying to do a lot of stuff with their dogs and they don't have the foundation of engagement that can build a reinforcement event or a reinforcer that pays enough to have the dog play the stupid game that you want it to play.
Yeah, it's like if honestly, as an instructor, if I get bored watching you give your dog the cookie and tell them to move on and find another hide, if I'm getting bored, imagine what your dog's doing. Not that I would get bored as I'm teaching. I'm just throwing that out there. If you are just mundanely, I don't want people to think, oh man, she's teaching me, she's getting bored. Not that at all. But if you are, here's your cookie, good dog, find another. I'm sitting here going, do you want to repeat that behavior? Do you want more of that searching? Do you want more of that finding? You got to make it worth it. Make it worthwhile.
Agreed.
You need engagement. You got to make it worthwhile.
I mean, you can make them do it.
I'm not getting bored when I watch you. By the way, I just really want to put that out there because that came out really wrong.
Just know, actually, what really happens when you're sitting there and you're watching a handler do that with their dog, you as a instructor and coach are starting to go through the cataloging of how do I explain to this person without offending or upsetting them that they're leaving a lot of dog on the table.
Yeah. And sometimes, you're watching your handler, the person that you're instructing, right? And they're giving that one little tiny piece of cookie that they pulled out of their pocket, out of a little plastic baggie. And then they're very quietly giving the dog the cookie and then asking them to find another. And what's interesting is that then they've already also told you about all these other issues that they're having. And you have to be able to tell them it's not that. It's you. It's this. Yeah.
It's this. And there actually is a skill that you have to develop as a coach and an instructor to be able to try and get people to really think about that stuff. So,
right. And when you tell people to use a voice, they're like, but I don't have that voice. I'm like, well, then you're going to have to develop something. You've got to have it in there. You got to sometimes dig deep. Don't have to sound like Minnie Mouse, but you got to dig deep.
And when you said about developing, so something that I've really tried to work on is my people skills with the handlers, the trainers. They get frustrated and everything goes to hell when they get frustrated.
Yes.
And you can't tell somebody quit being frustrated.
It doesn't work.
Somebody don't stress.
So you have to really figure out. Yeah. So I really have to figure out. So sometimes I'll say, okay, what if you take your dog for a little loop right over there? I want to see something. Really, I just need them to chill out and they don't know it.
So welcome to learning all of our little tidbits that you're like, oh.
And sometimes it also gives me a chance to scratch my forehead. Yeah. I don't want them to see that either. And so then when they come back, it gives me a chance to talk to them and bring them down. And sometimes I have to give them questions that get their mind off of what they're doing just to help them not be so frustrated. It's interesting how we have to really help the trainers bring themselves back into the moment. And sometimes I'll tell people, put your dog in it down. We're going to talk for a second, or go put your dog away because we need to talk. So
Yes.
it's a lot of times it's not about the dog.
Correct.
Most often for me, it's about the trainer and how I can
Yes.
communicate what we need to get through and have them in a place that they're not so mad. And I think there's a lot of this perfectionism. We want our dogs, and especially in front of others, we want our dog to do the thing they've never done before the first time perfectly, or the thing that they can do at home perfectly. We want them to do that perfectly in this new place. And I'm really embracing this whole imperfectionist mindset. It's so relieving. It was like that kind of viral thing going on Facebook or something. And it was like imperfectionism. And it's, I'm owning it. I love it. Yes, I love it. It's helped me so much.
Dog training is incredibly humbling, because you could have been preparing for 2 weeks and everything's been perfect. You've thrown everything and the kitchen sink at the dog to try and get it to not perform like you think it's supposed to perform. And then you walk in to do a certification, and because you have yourself in such a weird place, welcome to Robin doing certifications for bomb dogs, that your dog looks at you and is like, dude, you smell funny or acting weird. I'm out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what you did.
I actually have a t-shirt that says train hard, stay humble. I love my t-shirt. I did a workshop on Tuesday with a trainer around here. Actually, she was my coach, but she hasn't seen me in a while. And Powder and I made all kinds of mistakes, and it was so great. It was so great because I got to make mistakes when it didn't count, and I really started to get to the root of some of the challenges I've been having. It's like, that was great. I'm like, no, I want to make the mistakes here. This is so awesome.
And we tell people a lot, if you're going to make mistakes, you do it when you're out with a trainer that you've paid, who's seen 1,000 dogs and all of those things, because you know what? That's when we can help you the most. It's really hard when you show up and your dog looks awesome. You're like, okay, how am I supposed to make that look better? I can give you some tweaks, but I got nothing.
Yeah. And I never want to give that
doing
advice.
The thing.
Oh my gosh. I've gotten that before, and it was just like, really? I just paid you to just tell me to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm like, that's not really that helpful.
Right. That's not fun.
And I think as instructors taking classes from others, that just seems like such a given that we would do that. And I know, like when seeing you guys take feedback from others, I love watching your humility and openness, and you're trying to work on the really hard stuff that maybe you have struggles with, so you can get that feedback. And then I also watch the other students, and there's either kind of two schools. There's the students that are like, oh my gosh, they're making mistakes. And I look at them and think, okay, I can see how closed they are. And my goal now is to try to help them understand the importance of what they can learn, and that we're all out here trying to use and show the things that we're struggling with so we can get better at those areas. And I love the vulnerability and the fact that, being, multiple summit titleists with different dogs, the legend, I just really appreciate that you guys are so open and out there. And I hope that when other people are in classes with you, that they can really appreciate and learn from, how you're learning. And you guys model it so well.
Okay. I'm gonna take you. I'm sitting here going, right. I feel very uncomfortable because, compliment. And then now, we've had this discussion where you just have to say thank you. I'm trying.
Good job. See, we're learning from each other here. I saw that was hard for you. You were like,
people didn't see the fact that I stuck my tongue out. That's just so like.
Okay, one of my favorite Robin things too. Your shoulders get higher and higher. You almost become like turtle.
That's because I'm winding up to stab you. So, all right, we got 2 more questions before the end of the episode. So the first one is, does anyone train for canine rescue if the dog falls into rapid moving water off of the shoreline? I would hope that is a regular portion of people's training, but I doubt it. Just going to put that out there. Make it part of your training. And then, okay, last question for each one of us. What is your favorite distractor?
Diversion.
I'm going to say a diversion.
Diversion.
Diversions. Okay, so what is my favorite diversion that I put out in my area? is something weird that the dog does not expect in that particular area. So a baked potato in a hay barn, a random, even a dog toy out in the chicken barn, those sorts of things, because, oh my gosh, there is not supposed to be a turnip in the chicken barn. And I pick on food groups. I don't know why. So that's the type of thing that I think.
What I want to do, what I have done, or your meal from the night before, but what I want to do is get a toy and have somebody else's dog play with a toy and then use that as my diversion. Because that got us a little bit in the trial this weekend, and I think it was all that dopamine from playing and all that on the toy,
and all the slobber on the toy,
and all that excitement in a box. Yeah, I'm going to be sending toys to like you guys, and I just want you guys to just play with them and send them back. Yep.
Okay.
So, I asked a friend once if I could get some different urine samples. And so she runs a kennel. And so she sent me over 20 different little Gerber baby jars with different urines from different age dogs.
That's a great friend.
Yeah. And I didn't expect all of that. So I have this rather large box and I'm thinking, oh, did she like soak it in a towel? No, it was each individual and it had what age, what sex of the dog, and if it was a bitch in heat, and I have other friends that, before I had Radish, they would take wipes and do wipes on their in-season dog, and they would package those up for me. And then for Checkmate, I would say for my sports stuff or bitey stuff, it would be having people stand around that look suspicious. That is the hardest one. When you're on a field, having people sit there and just stare at your dog and do kind of a glare. And
yes,
that's really hard. Or the people that kind of look and they kind of turn their head away, kind of creepy.
Interesting.
Creeps.
Because then everybody becomes this kind of question mark. But I'm sorry, I've had trials where I've watched people and they are not appropriate on the field. They just stare at your dog. And it's like, you're creepy. Stop staring at my dog. But you can't say that because you're competing. And so there's lots of people in the field. And sometimes
Don't be a creeper.
Some of the judges, I watch how they stare at the dog, and I'm thinking, no wonder that dog's coming at you.
I hope you have a bite suit on, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, most have clipboards at least, but
yes, the dog is naked.
Oh so, okay.
Those are my diversions.
So that wraps up all of the time we have for our stupid question post. I want to say that we have a good 5 or 6 questions that we didn't get to. So they are going in the queue with some of the other episode subjects that we're going to work on. So thanks everybody for tuning in with us. This was a really fun episode. We're going to have our next roundtable discussion probably in January. So start logging those questions for us, or if you have questions, send them to us over instant message. It's fine from the Facebook page. Go out to the website, sign up for all of the updates, and we promise we're still going to try and get a freebie out. We might just combine September and October, and it'll be a big freebie. Yes, because oh my gosh, we're busy. And check out the fact, yes, that Crystal just launched a new Facebook group for her training. So that's going to be in the show notes.
CBK9.
Yep. And we look forward to talking to you next time.
Canine Detection Collaborative.
We appreciate the time you spend with us. If you liked this episode, not only should you follow us so you don't miss the next one, but please also rate and review us in your favorite podcast app. For info on collaborating with us, go to k9detectioncollaborative.com. That's K9detectioncollaborative.com, where you can find our socials and pick up our latest monthly freebie. Join us again to talk training in the next episode.